Welcome to Light Over Heat with Professor David Yamani. My book on American gun culture is done. It may be hard to see in my demeanor because I'm extremely tired from having spent so much time in the last 6 weeks finishing this manuscript, but I'm really excited to bring this project to a conclusion. For now, I have a lot more to say about American gun culture than what's in this book, but this book contains my 12 years of participation in and observation of American gun culture. I've incurred a huge number of debts along the way, and I hope what's in this book repays those debts in part. I try to tell the story of American gun culture fairly and factually. I try to tell it in a way that I don't think anybody else has told the story in recent years, most particularly scholars studying American gun culture. It's not a perfect book, but one thing I can say with all sincerity is that this book represents what I have experienced and what I think is a truth about American gun culture, if not the truth with a capital T, because obviously that's something that's beyond the work of any particular individual. Those of you who follow my work more closely know it's been a struggle, that I really was hoping to find a huge audience for this work. I don't know that a huge audience for this work actually exists. I think that people really want to have a lot of their beliefs confirmed. They want to see something that's very polarizing, especially on the issue of guns, and that's not at all what I'm up to. And so when in my desperate moments when I was trying to figure out what on earth I was doing with this book, I really benefited from reading this book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin, who some of you may know as a music producer. I know him because he produced some of the early hip-hop acts that I was listening to back in the 1980s. But what Rick Rubin really emphasized that really helped me bring this project to fruition was that writing is a creative act. It's not something that we do in order to sell books. It's not something that we do in order to gain prestige. It's something that is a creative expression of who we are. And I can sincerely say, when I read this book front to back in the last 2 days for the final read over and corrections, this book, Gun Curious, honestly represents who I am as a person and as a scholar. And whether anybody buys the book or not, I can sleep easily knowing that this book represents who I am. Now, for those of you who will want to buy the book, obviously me submitting the manuscript and the book being available for purchase are two different things. So it does have to go to the publisher. The publisher will look it over. The publisher may have some questions about the content. The publisher will certainly have the book edited, and it will come back to me, for another round of editing on the page proofs. And so I'm hoping that the book will be available for purchase late spring, optimistically, or in the summer of 2024, hopefully realistically. The book will be available for pre-order at some unspecified time before that. And the success of this book is really going to depend on people purchasing the book in advance, so the publisher has some idea of how many books to print, how much demand there's going to be for the book. A lot of people have asked me about an audiobook version. I love audiobooks. I probably read, as many audiobooks as I do physical books anymore. Unfortunately, there's no option yet for an audiobook, but if pre-sales are strong enough, this may get somebody to commit to taking the audiobook rights and producing that. That's not cheap, so the other alternative is someone has a few $1,000s laying around and wants to help me produce the audiobook. We can go that route also. But again, I'm extremely excited to have finished the book. I'm extraordinarily grateful for everybody who has supported me along the way. It is an honest expression of who I am, and I hope also that it does tell a story about American gun culture that people will find interesting, whether you're a fellow gun enthusiast, whether you're a gun skeptic and you don't really understand why guns make sense to people, or if you're someone who is gun curious, you're not a gun owner, but you want to know more about guns. I think there's something in there for everybody.